Hi everyone, I'm back again. I was having problems with the connection. I was trying to change up the scenery in the background, and I was actually going to be doing my talk. Since we're talking about sleep and rest, it would make sense that I would change locations to our bedroom where I do most of my sleeping and resting. So anyway, thank you for your patience. I'm still looking really forward here to sharing some things I've been learning. I'm myself am a recovering non-sleepaholic. Well, I'm not sure what the opposite would be, but anyway, but just wanted to thank you if you are on here. Not all comments and so forth are showing up on my phone, but I will definitely comment afterwards. Oh, hey Ning! Oh my goodness, so glad to see you from way far away, and it's been too long. Anyway, so just wanted to, hey, I wanted to share about unfortunately, a very common issue that a lot of us have. The statistics are actually kind of disturbing about how many of us actually function totally sleep deprived. And I used to be one of those. There were too many times, I will say it because it was bad. There were many, many times that I found myself driving and waking up a little bit later. That was really, really scary. And that, no, well, pun intended, that really was a wake up call. So, but I know for a lot of people, sleep is sometimes it's just getting your wheels, like kind of the hamster wheels, the hamster gets on the wheel and those wheels just keep turning and turning, and you just can't quiet your mind enough to just really get down into those deep REM sleep patterns. So some of the things that I've really been learning and have been implementing in my life that have made a huge difference, quite literally, if you, well, I'll get to that in a second. If anyone else is really relating to that and has been feeling the same thing, just comment below, like the word sleep. Just if I'm preaching to the crowd or whatnot, but just, yeah, type in the word sleep if you really relate to this and are really hoping for some relief and actually some rest. So anyway, one of the biggest things is one, like we are talking about, is the importance of quieting your mind. So many of us, guilty, are on our phones, on our computers, watching whatever's, the postings and the webinars and whatnot, until just before we go to bed. Because who suffers here from FOMO? Just write it down there in the comments. FOMO, fear, you know what that is? Fear of missing out. Like we fear like we're going to miss out on that all important email at dark or whatever it is, or we feel like, oh, there's just one more thing that we need to tie up and check off our list for the day. Well, actually, that is one of the contributing causes to us not getting a good rest. So really, even the experts recommend turn off all electronics, TV, everything like that, about 20 minutes to 30 minutes before we go to sleep. And I know it's not easy. I'm in the same boat with you, but I really do find that I'm not, depending on what I'm watching, of course, too. I'm not jazzed up or brought down or whatnot. But also there's something about the frequency too, that our brain waves start to go with the same frequency as, let's say, the TV and whatnot. And so that's very hard to bring ourselves down. Number two, drink a good glass of water. That's actually very helpful for our heart and our heart rate before we go to sleep, and keeps us hydrated so we're not choking in the middle of the night. Speaking of choking, if you know that you snore a lot, or if you wake up that you've been choking, or you wake up with a really dry mouth, there's a high probability that you might be suffering from sleep apnea. And maybe if there's an interest, I will do another talk on that, because I've also had that. I am almost down to no incidences per night. Yay! And I can share what I've been doing with that as well. If there's interest, write down in the comments, just write sleep apnea, and I'll be happy to share information what I've been doing, or we'll just do another live on that. So that actually makes a big difference too, to actually deal with that, whether that's with an actual CPAP or APAP machine. Doctors will say, hey, once you're on it permanently. That's not true. There are some ways to get off of it, but it's definitely something, hey Lisa, consider. Also, if you wake up and your nose is just majorly stuffy and you know that you've not been breathing properly, I really, really recommend looking into getting a CPAP because CPAP, that was one of many things that I started implementing as part of my sleeping routine. And honest to goodness, I feel like I'm a completely different person. Like, does anybody else want to have that experience? Like, actually know what it's like to have a good night's sleep? Yeah, definitely. You can comment that below too. Like, I need sleep. Because boy, you're in good company, for sure on that. So another thing too for slowing down your brain and just stop thinking. One, like if you've heard the tip about just getting a notepad and just jotting those things down. So it's just out of your mind on the paper. Two, my suggestion, this is something that I use, is I have a roller ball, which actually I ended up leaving in my bedroom, but I have a roller ball with some fractionated coconut oil. Hey, Kathy, good to see you. And I put in a little bit of marjoram and I put it on the tips of my big toes. And that actually helps to quiet down the brain because if anyone's familiar with reflexology, they're direct connections from our feet, on the bottom of our feet, to all the major systems in our body. So marjoram, not margarine that you put on your bread, marjoram, the herb. And I use it as an oil, and that's very quieting, soothing, and calming, and slows my little hamster wheels from spinning. Anybody else like that, to experience that? Yeah. So, gosh, let's see. Also, lastly, is something super important just for our mental and emotional health, for how we wake up the next morning, is also the input and the content that we're putting into our minds before we go to sleep. Anyone? Yeah, right? So if I had better reception in my room, I would have shown you. I have like 2 huge stacks of books, and I have some books that are more for when I'm up and awake, or I'm just sitting and resting and I want to read. And they're much more engaging and mental and all kinds of good stuff on personal growth and support and so forth. But then if I want something restful, and something that I can really just meditate on, even subconsciously before I go to sleep, then I read those kind of books. Does that make sense? So if I really want to be engaging and writing notes and really thinking on something, I don't read those before I go to sleep. So some of the books I read, devotionals, I read about, just, what God thinks of me, and us as women and how precious we are in His sight. And that's just some of the books, actually. And God's love, anything, something like that, that's nurturing and soothing. You can put on some myrrh oil over your core while you're reading that. That's also very nurturing and comforting. So anyway, I didn't want to stay on here for too long because you guys need your sleep and you need your rest. So hopefully, if this was helpful at all, please feel free to share this with your friends here. If you'd like us to talk more about this, I have so many other things that I've been learning about sleep and so forth. But I just wanted to share a few tips for tonight before we all headed off for sleep. I hope you all can implement some of these tonight before you head off to bed for the week, and have a really good have a good rest so you can have an awesome week. So until tomorrow, have an awesome sleep. Nighty night, sleepy tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. And as my husband would always say, schlaf gut, schlaf schnell. Sleep well, sleep fast, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.